Let's start by agreeing that babies are innocent. Can we agree on that? That for the most part we think that babies and children are free of guilt. Many faiths have age of accountability type thing because we don't like the idea of a little baby going to hell because it dies before it has a chance to accept Christ or whatever. We don't like the idea of a baby or a child being morally responsible either in this life or the next life for the sins of their parents. We can all agree on that, right? Now, God set all this in motion a long time ago. He has a plan for each and every one of us. He knows the moment of our birth. He knows the moment of our death. He counts the number of hairs on our little heads. His plan is sometimes mysterious. He works in mysterious ways, and he might seem cruel at times, but it's all for a greater purpose. For example, it does seem cruel and mysterious to me to understand why an all-knowing and all-powerful God requires the death of so many babies for his master plan to work. I'm not just talking about babies that die through the wars and illness and man-generated trouble of this world. I'm talking about babies directly killed at God's explicit command or even slain by God's own hand. Let us start at the beginning. We'll skip forward just a little bit. There, the great flood, Noah, the ark. Did you know that there were no babies on the ark? There was Noah, his wife, his son, and their wives. No babies. That means that whenever God flooded the earth, he killed every baby in the world. Yep, right off the bat, we have God killing every single infant on the face of the planet. But God loved them. He loved each and every one of them. That's a rip-roaring start. Ahead a little bit, we have the Sodom and Gomorrah thing. Apparently, God really doesn't like butt sex. He dislikes it so much that he didn't just punish the adults, but their children as well. Now, I really doubt that all the little babies in Sodom and Gomorrah were engaging in anal sex, but God didn't care. He destroyed the city and burned the babies right alongside the adults. God is a loving God. Ahead a little bit more, we have that bit where Abraham is going to sacrifice his son, but we won't count that one against God because it turns out he was just kidding. He didn't really mean it. So let's go to Moses in Egypt. With all those 10 plagues, a lot of babies must have died, especially the plague with the death of each firstborn. The Pharaoh's son died. Did the Pharaoh's son really deserve to be stricken dead for the economic policies of his father? That would be like if Abraham Lincoln decided to kill all the babies in the South to win the Civil War. Now, what about all the other young firstborn in Egypt? Just put yourself in their shoes for a minute. Imagine that you're a nice, upstanding Egyptian couple. You've never done a thing wrong in your life. You're hard workers. Your first baby has just arrived. Oh, wait, he's dead. Why? For something you did wrong? No. You didn't enslave the Jews. Hell, you're lower class. You're probably out there in the quarries working right alongside the Jews every day. God killed your baby for something someone you've never met was doing. So there's Exodus. The Jews arrive at the Promised Land, and did they commence with the baby killing once they got there? Holy crap. Jericho, right off the bat. God orders the city sacked, and every man, woman, child, and head of livestock put to the sword. The only person allowed to live, a whore that sheltered Jewish spies. God is a loving God. All those babies had it coming, but that whore that sheltered those 2 spies gets a bye. And Jericho is just one city. The Old Testament is full of it. Time after time after time after time. The Jews roll into a province, say, this is our land. Why? Because God said so. They have the Ark of the Covenant at the head of their column, and they rape, murder, pillage, and burn entire cities. There are cities where they go in and they kill every man, woman, and child who is wed, but all the virgin women they take for themselves for obviously holy good purposes. Over and over again. And then there was Elijah, or was it Elisha? I don't know, I get those two confused. The one who was walking into the city, and a bunch of kids made fun of him for being bald. So God sent bears to eat them. That's right. You make fun of a prophet for being bald, and God will summon bears to eat you. He is a loving, caring, wise God. God in the Old Testament cuts this path of death and destruction across the Holy Land, killing and raping and burning as he goes, committing atrocity after atrocity, killing babies, raping women, putting hundreds of thousands to the sword. But it's cool because it's all part of his plan. Here's my conclusion. God is a terrible planner. Seriously, if he is all-powerful and there is nothing that he cannot do, and there is no will in this cosmos that can possibly defy his will, then why can he not come up with a plan for the world that doesn't involve murdering thousands of babies? And remember, we're not talking about babies that other people killed in God's name. We're talking about babies that God spoke to man and directly said, kill them. And in the cases of the flood, Sodom and Gomorrah, and the firstborn of Egypt, God didn't even tell anyone else to do it. He reached down with his own hand and killed the babies himself. You trust this God? You have faith in this master plan? Have you seen the track record of this master plan? What in the world gives you the idea that God isn't some kind of bumbling dictator killing indiscriminately all those who get in his way? And what about the end of time? What about the book of Revelation? That hasn't even happened yet, but are the babies going to be raptured? Will all the babies be spared the tribulation? There's absolutely nothing in the text that suggests they will be. So, with 6 billion people in the world, if God has his way, there are still a lot of babies left for him to kill. He is not even close to being done. The only conclusion I can draw from this is that the only reason God is anti-abortion is because he wants the babies to be around so he can kill them later to prove some kind of ridiculous point. Why do you follow this God?